Hey guys, how's it going? Stoutman coming back at you today, and today I've actually got something a little bit different for you because I recently decided to pick up and try out these. These are some cheapo, not straight from China, but they came from China, spy cam glasses. So if you look right there and right there, one of these is the camera and one of these is the microphone. Now I'm not going to use the microphone on these. I'm just going to completely just talk over all the video footage that I record with these, but I thought this would be a good way. I wear glasses from time to time as it is. My eyesight isn't great, so I'm familiar with wearing eyeglasses. It's not an all too crazy concept for me, and these actually look fairly realistic. They don't look completely and totally normal, but they look like something I'd probably wear. They don't look horrible on me, you know what I mean? So I thought, yeah, I'll give it a try. And these are actually really cheap, by the way. They're only 30 bucks, which is actually fairly good for a pair of 1080p cheapo spy cam glasses from China. So yeah, I mean, I'll show you the video quality. It's not the best. There is some serious contrast issues here. There are some huge problems with the contrast. It's way overblown, but it'll do the trick for some out and about videos, I think. You know what I mean? So if I want to show you what I'm doing when I'm going on the hunt in these pawn shops and whatnot, then I can finally do that with these, which is very, very cool. I'm still getting used to wearing them though, because the camera is in such a place that if I'm just wearing it like this, it'll be pointing up and I'll be looking down at something at like Natural Born Killers here, right? And I'll be looking down like this, right? And it will literally only show you about that much of the video. And there's this timestamp on this side, I believe, that won't go away. So really you'd only see about this much of anything that I was looking at. So I'm going to have to figure out how to like best do this. Maybe point the cam glasses down a little bit while I'm looking at it like this. I don't know. I will test a work around with it, see what works, what doesn't work. But for now, you're going to see my first attempt at using these while looking for some things that I picked up just this weekend. So yeah, here you go. So the first stop of the day, I decided to go to a little shop that I like to visit every now and then, and this is the place where I found Wall-E for a few bucks and on Blu-ray, and I also found that Life Blu-ray sealed for about the same price, I think. And they usually have some SNL best of videos as well. You just saw there I picked up Wallace and Gromit. Was thinking about that, but it was $3 and that just was a little too much for me. Anyways, as we're continuing on, I was unable to really find much of interest, but if we continue on here, I found what looks to be a sealed copy of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, but I already have that on Blu-ray, so I wasn't really that interested. While I was looking at it, though, I noticed Lean On Me on DVD, and I am interested in that. I don't have that yet, and I am looking for it. So when I saw it, I thought, maybe I'll pay the $3 for it. I didn't really want to pay that much for it, but that's because I'm a cheapskate. And I was really honestly considering getting this until I looked at the back and discovered that it was the standard edition. Not the widescreen version, it's the standard version. I don't know if there is a widescreen version. It might be one of those where there's not a widescreen version. I don't know. Either way, I didn't pick it up. And yeah, I found Firefly there as well. It was the complete series on DVD for $3, which is a good price, but I want that on Blu-ray. So Continuing on, I found The Bear. Now, The Bear, last I remember seeing that was on HBO when I was a kid, and I never really liked it back then. But I did end up finding an IMAX special on Bears, fairly close to The Bear. I thought that was kind of interesting. Other than that, I went over here on the other side and found a Blu-ray that I was staring at for the longest time and just never really looked at. Saw Kirk Douglas in The Big Trees, but meh. And then finally I pulled out the Blu-ray just to show you guys, yes, you can find Blu-rays here. This was Twilight Breaking Dawn part. I don't give a fuck. Anyways, moving on to the next shop because I really didn't find anything else here. Next up was the pawn shop, and I do like visiting this place every now and then. Unfortunately, it's not always good. It's not good all the freaking time. But first thing I did here was look at the DVDs because they're $1.99 each, which isn't a bad price. It's not the best price you'll ever find, but it's a pretty good price. Now, some of these titles, actually, I'm looking at now and thinking, I really should have taken a closer look at that. Like, I'm honestly wondering what that colors thing was there. That's going to be an interesting thing for me, is going back to these videos and thinking, shit, how did I miss that? Yeah, I didn't really see anything right off the bat, but then I wasn't looking closely enough, was I? Anyways, I looked around and I did find a couple of interesting items, but for the most part, there really wasn't anything that just jumped right out at me. There was this 4 film favorites of Mark Wahlberg. I think it had Rockstar, The Perfect Storm, and fuck, a couple of other Mark Wahlberg movies I don't give a shit about. Then I found this High Voltage. I've never seen or heard of this movie, but maybe I should have. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should know what that movie is, or if I should check it out at some point. You know? When I went up to the next shelf, the first thing that caught my eyes was Masters of the Universe on DVD. I don't think this has a Blu-ray release yet, so, and I don't even know if it'll ever get a Blu-ray release for that matter. And this was, in fact, the widescreen version, but it was, I don't know. I don't really like the movie per se. I wouldn't mind having it in my collection, but I don't feel like paying even $2 for it, honestly. It might be $2 might be a bit much at this point, especially considering I looked online and it doesn't go for all that much. So I shouldn't have trouble finding it at some point for $1 maybe, even. Who knows? Anyways, I found W.C. Fields' a collection of shorts there. I was meh kind of thing. Okay, maybe. I don't know. That was my original reaction to that, I guess. So I kept looking, trying to see if I could find anything worth picking up, and nothing was really sticking out at me. Earlier, I don't think that you got to see quite well, but I did find a double pack with Glen or Glenda and Jailbait. I was thinking about it, but ultimately decided not to go for that. Here I found a copy of a movie called How to Rob a Bank. I've never heard of this movie. I just kind of decided, no, not really that interested. As I was looking up information about Masters of the Universe, just kind of decided, nah, not worth it. Not worth my time. There, they had Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I want to get on Blu-ray, but not on DVD. So I turned that down as well. Looked and saw How I Got Into College. Again, not really feeling it. So I keep looking, and eventually here I'm going to come across something that is actually quite an interesting prospect. And that would be the 4-pack of all 4 of the first Police Academy movies. So 1 through 4 of the Police Academy movies. Now, I know this is on Blu-ray. They've got all of the Police Academy movies on a Blu-ray set. That's a region-free set, by the way. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to get that set. And because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get the set or not, I may or may not have picked this up. You'll just have to wait and see. But I think it's actually a fairly good price for what it is. So, yeah. Next up, I went over to the Blu-ray section and I was digging through there trying to find something worth picking up. And they had a bunch of the typical titles you might expect to find, a bunch of those early Mill Creek titles, the ones that were on sale for $1 at the dollar store. And I just couldn't get them because it's like, yeah, they're all $3.99. All of their regular Blu-rays are $3.99 each, or you can get 6 for $20. That's still not going to be $1 a piece, which is what most of these originally went for. So I didn't feel comfortable getting those, and I don't think I'll ever feel comfortable getting those. I think those will just sit on the shelf there for God knows how long until they eventually end up putting them in the dollar bin there. And maybe if they actually mark them at $1, I might consider it. But anyways, I did end up finding a few titles here that I was interested in. One of them here is Sling Blade, which I, for some reason, just don't have yet, so time to get that, right? The next one that I found, I spent so much time looking through all these Blu-rays. I'm not going to waste all of your time showing you every bit of footage. So the next one I found was Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And yeah, that's a pretty good title, although their Disney Blu-rays are a bit more expensive than their regular Blu-rays. So, you know, they know that Disney Blu-rays are a little bit more expensive, worth a little bit more money, so they charge a little bit more money for them. And I was fully expecting this to be a little bit more money than what it ended up being, but I'll talk about that later. Either way, I was kind of happy to see something like that because I really wasn't finding a lot here. I mean, it's been a few months since I last visited, and usually after I wait a couple of months to visit this place, they've stocked up with enough new stuff that I'm easily able to find 6 titles worth getting. It just wasn't that case this time around, and it might be another month or two before I visit, and maybe even then I won't find a whole lot of stuff. So I don't know, man. It just feels like this place is kind of dry, but I did find some stuff here I'm very happy about. After I found those 2 titles, I went over to the dollar bin. They have a 99-cent bin, but the thing is, I think the sign actually says 99 cents or less, and everything in that bin, I think everything except for the VHS is over $1. So I think the DVDs are $1.99 and the Blu-rays are $2.99, even though the bin says 99 cents in big bold letters. So yeah, I mean, I do take issue with that, but at the same time, you can see the Blu-rays individually marked, and I did actually find something in the Blu-rays that I wanted. So there's that for you. You know, I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been worse. Next up, I went to Value Village, and I immediately came across these copies of the Big Bang Theory seasons. I don't remember what seasons they were, but there were some seasons of Big Bang Theory, some seasons of Friends. In fact, I think they had every single season of Friends there, marked at $5 a piece. Not a bad deal, but I'm not a huge Friends guy. I don't really like that show all that much, so I turned it down. I did see a couple of Blu-rays pop out at me. The Robin Hood Blu-ray there, I already have that one, sadly. 2012, another movie I already have. And then the last one there was Dear John, which I'm not a fan of that movie. I don't think it's a bad movie per se, but it's not my kind of movie, man. It's not my kind of romantic comedy. I'm more of a When Harriet Met Sally kind of guy, if you will. But either way, I kept looking through the DVDs here just to see if there was anything. I can't believe I missed that Saturday Night Live Chris Farley set, and looking at that now, just like, oh my god, how did I miss that? I need that. But, oh well. I guess. Why did I not look at that? Why did I not see that? I'm just going to tell myself it was scratched, you guys. It was totally scratched. It was scratched to hell and back. Okay, so here I found The Sunshine Boys on DVD. I have never heard of this movie before in my life, but apparently it's an Academy Award winning film starring Walter Matthau and George Burns. And it really looked pretty damn cool. So I had to take a second look at that one for damn sure. Next up here, I found a MGM Midnight Movies release here, which was a double pack that had What's the Matter with Helen and Whoever Slew... God, I can't remember what it's called. Whoever Slew something. I can't remember. Either way, I'm really into those midnight movie collections. I don't like to pay a whole lot of money for them, but yeah, it was the right price. I'll put it that way. This was the right price, and it was factory sealed, so I'll tell you what, that's definitely what I got. And here I came across a copy of the Criterion Collection Chasing Amy, which is most definitely the version you want to get. And there are a bunch of Charlie Brown DVDs over here, but nothing I really wanted or needed. So I elected not to get those. And then, being the nice guy I am, I put the other Blu-ray over there with the Blu-rays and just said, you know what? All the Blu-rays should just be together. They should all be friends. You know? That's what I do whenever I'm in a store like this and everything's out of order. I'm just like, yeah, that belongs over there. Anyways, I found Mr. Krueger's Christmas, you guys, on DVD. If you don't know about this, this is actually a Christmas special that was produced by the LDS Church, by the Mormon Church. But it stars Jimmy Stewart, and I think it's the only other... Well, maybe it's not the only other, but it's one of the other Christmas things that you think of that Jimmy Stewart did other than It's a Wonderful Life. It's a really good companion piece to It's a Wonderful Life. I'll put it that way. I also found The Decade You Were Born, the 80s, which of course was the decade I was born. But I elected not to get it. It's just, it's not really my thing. I think it's a cool concept, but not a big fan of that in particular. So, anyways, as there were a bunch of people trying to crowd me and see what I was finding, I looked around and was like, oh God, where am I? Where is everything? What's going on here? And came across another DVD I was interested in. This one with Marilyn Monroe. It was Monkey Business, a movie I have actually never seen before, if you can believe that. And I don't think this DVD is actually in print anymore. I think it's out of print. And then I came across another movie I have a lot of interest in. It's a movie I've actually seen quite a few times, and it's kind of hard to come by. So, yeah, I was happy to find that too. Man, I was coming across a lot of cool stuff here. I was actually surprised. I was thinking, usually I come here and I don't really find much. I'll find one or two things. But I was quickly amassing like a collection right there. And I was just like, oh, this is sweet. So, kept on looking in the lower sections there, and this is what I do, by the way, whenever I'm doing a media hunting and looking for Blu-rays and DVDs. Came across What About Bob? What I'm saying, what I do is I turn my head like that. And the reason I do that is because I always feel like there's somebody behind me, somebody crowding me, somebody trying to see what I'm looking at. And I'm just like, can I just, I'm not trying to implicate myself in front of everybody else, but I'm trying to make sure I don't run into anybody else when I'm trying to look at stuff. So I literally just like lean my head over in a really uncomfortable way just so I can see what's on the bottom shelf without taking up too much room in the aisle. So yeah. Anyways, I found a couple of other things, but nothing I was really that interested in. So I went with what I had here and was trying to find a place where I could set everything down while, doing a little bit of research. The first thing that I looked at, the first disc that I looked at, um, or at least one of the first discs that I looked at was What About Bob? And holy crap, was this scratched. Look at this. This is one of the worst scratch jobs I've ever seen on a DVD. Who the hell did this? Who the hell owned this DVD and screwed it up as bad as they did? This is a travesty. I immediately put that back. So afterward, I spent a little bit of time looking at the VHS, but I didn't really see anything. Nothing really popped out at me. There were a few things, but not much. But what I did come across was this interesting looking book, and I was thinking, I wonder if this is something that Skinslip would like. It's a Harry and the Hendersons storybook, and look at the drawing on that. That was just a really cool illustration there on the cover. I was actually contemplating getting this, but I decided not to. It was kind of beat up, and I figured, you know what? Even if I did get it for Skinslip, I don't think he'd care. I don't think he'd like it that much. So I put it back. After I got done looking at the books, I went over and took a look at the toys, and immediately my eyes were drawn to these pop vinyls. Unfortunately, they were almost all of Kristoff from Frozen. I don't dislike Frozen. I own the Blu-ray, but I don't think that I need a pop vinyl of Kristoff, you know what I mean? There were a couple of others from Tomorrowland, but yeah, nothing that I was really interested in when it came to the pop vinyls there. But I did see Mr. Potato Head. So as you can see, I didn't really find anything worth picking up at the boutique place, the little tiny shop that I go to every now and then. They didn't have much this week, but I just kind of wanted to show you what that looks like at least, because I'm sure most of you aren't familiar with the little mom and pop kind of places like that show up every now and then in random places around the country. I didn't know if you guys knew what maybe that would look like. Well, now you know what that looks like. And really, they only had 2 shelves of stuff, and there was some interesting stuff. They had the Mad Max Thunderdome, but that's DVD, but it was completely shrink wrapped and everything. I don't know. It wasn't for me, basically, because I already have the Blu-ray. And they had a few other things here and there that I was looking at. They had Firefly. Nothing I really wanted or needed in my collection. But then there was also, I tried to show you the Blu-ray of Twilight. They had a Twilight Breaking Dawn Blu-ray or something like that for $5, but then the color of the tag, as you probably saw, indicated that it was half off, so it would have been $2.50 for that Blu-ray. So they do have Blu-rays at a fairly good price, but nothing I was interested in, man. I didn't want Twilight, so I went ahead and hopped on over to the local pawn shop, and they didn't have enough Blu-rays there that I was interested in to get their deal where you get 6 for $20, basically. But they did have a few that I wanted to pick up regardless. So I got some Blu-rays and a DVD set there as well. You may have seen that I looked at and picked up Police Academy 1 through 4 here on DVD. Now, the main reason I did that is because it was only $2 and the discs are in fairly good condition. So basically, you're paying 50 cents per movie. That's not bad for Police Academy. And honestly, there's a Blu-ray set with all the Police Academy movies at, and I've been thinking about getting that, but I wasn't quite sure if I really wanted it on Blu-ray. You know what I mean? Like, are the Police Academy movies really something that I want to have on Blu-ray? Is it really something I need to have in the highest possible quality and definition? Is it really something I even want anymore? Because I remember liking these when I was a kid, but will I feel the same way about them now that I'm an adult? Haven't seen them in like 20 freaking years. Might as well pick up this 4-pack here for $2 and give them a shot again. See whether or not it might be worth it to pick up that Blu-ray set. But either way, I know that the first few movies were the best. So there you go. First few movies for $2 on DVD. Then I went over to the Blu-ray section. I was looking through and I found Sling Blade. Now, if you don't get their 6 for $20 deal, all their Blu-rays are $4 each, which is not a bad deal. It's not great, but it's alright. And I have not seen this in the longest freaking time. I really needed to rectify that, and I wanted it in my collection. But every time I come across it, I'm just like, nah, I need to stop doing that. I needed to stop doing that. Like, don't say nah. I get it in your freaking collection. I don't have it on DVD. I don't have it in any way, shape, or form. And it's a good movie, man. So, yeah, I had to finally pick it up there for $4. I would have shot, or not shot myself, but I would have been kicking myself for not picking this up at $4. Again, not the best deal, but it's a pretty good deal for Sling Blade here on Blu-ray. And boatload of special features. It is still has the sticker up top, so I figured at least that the disc was in halfway decent condition. Maybe somebody pulled it out of the case without taking off this top sticker, but that usually doesn't happen. So I'm going to check right now to make sure I didn't get a disc that's completely and utterly destroyed. Hopefully that is not the case. And it's in perfect immaculate condition. So there you go. Very cool. Anyways, there you go. That's $3.99 for Sling Blade. Very good deal. And then I found a Disney Blu-ray that I was not expecting to go for as low as it did, but surprise and shock and awe, apparently the lady rung it up not as a Disney Blu-ray, but as a regular Blu-ray. That would be Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I have not seen this since it originally came out, and when it originally came out, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But I love the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and I've been told I need to revisit this and see if it might be something I actually like upon a second viewing, really. And they got the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out soon, so I wanted to check that out as soon as possible. And the price point on this particular movie on Blu-ray has dropped like a freaking tank because, again, most people, myself included, weren't a huge fan. So when I saw it there, and their normal price for Disney Blu-rays is $5.99 per title. So when I saw it for $5.99, I was thinking, that's a good enough deal. I'll go ahead and go for that. That's a pretty good deal. And I was more than willing and happy to pay the $5.99 price tag for this. But, see, there you go, $3.99. 2 at $3.99. And the 2 at $3.99 would be Sling Blade and Pirates of the Caribbean. So I ended up getting Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides for $3.99. A very good deal for a Disney Blu-ray, you gotta admit. I mean, that's a freaking fantastic price. And yes, it comes with the DVD and the Blu-ray. Sadly, no code, but it's used. What are you gonna do? And then last, at that particular pawn shop, I went over to the clearance bin where they have Blu-rays at pretty much they put Blu-rays at $2.99 and then DVDs between $1 and $2. Even though their sign says 99 cents and lower, I think, it's still like barely anything in that bin is actually 99 cents. I'll put it that way. But they do still have some good deals in there on Blu-ray and DVD and stuff. So I went and looked in there and found some interesting titles in there. One in particular I was very interested in getting was Sparkle and Dreamgirls, the double pack here on Blu-ray. Now, I've never seen Sparkle. I'm not really interested in Sparkle that much. I mainly got it for Dreamgirls because I have seen it and I love that movie. Great actors, great performances in Dreamgirls in particular. So I wanted to have that in my collection. And for $3 to get that and a second movie here for a $3 total, I mean, that was a pretty damn good deal. And as you may have seen in the video, I was looking and saw that they both came on their own individual discs. They're both in really good condition. So, yeah. I went ahead and said, yeah, let's do that. Because I have been wanting to get Dreamgirls in my collection for quite some time. But it wasn't really a huge priority for me. So, to get it for $3, pretty good deal. And then to get Sparkle basically for free on top of that, pretty damn good deal. All told, I spent $14 on these titles. So, got the first 4 Police Academy movies, got Sling Blade, I got Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides, and Sparkle and Dreamgirls. So, pretty cool. After that, I went over to Value Village, which you can probably tell is a little bit like Goodwill, but the Goodwill around here is total crap, I have to say. It's just, I've been in there before. I'll probably do a video showing you in the future at some point how I rarely ever find anything there and how the prices are way too freaking expensive. But for now, just trust me when I say I'd rather go to Value Village than Goodwill. Their prices are way freaking better, and they usually have better stuff in addition to that. So, as I was looking through all the stuff there, I noticed there were quite a few DVDs that are not normally something you see. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different than what you expect to see every now and then. So, I went through looking on my phone to determine, are these out of print? What's the deal with these? And sure enough, some of these were out of print, or at least are fetching higher prices than normal for a DVD copy of something. And I decided to pick up some of them for that reason, some of them because I just really wanted them, and others because they looked interesting to me. So, with that said, I picked up The Sunshine Boys, which I don't really know much about, actually. All I knew was it stars Walter Matthau and George Burns. Very cool to see those two. And, I mean, it just... Look at that. Look at that artwork there. Look at that artwork and tell me you wouldn't pick that up if you saw that. For the price of a movie, you'll feel like $1 million. Academy Award winner, 1975 Best Supporting Actor, George Burns. So... yeah, apparently a pretty notable movie that I've just never heard of or seen before. Bad me, how dare I? But anyways, it comes with commentary by Richard Benjamin, vintage featurette The Lion Roars Again, Jack Benny and Walter Matthau makeup test, Phil's silver screen test, theatrical trailer, and that's about it. Okay. But yeah, the synopsis sounded interesting. The actors who were in this movie, I love them, and I have not seen enough of their stuff, so yeah, I wanted to pick this up, especially when I looked online and determined that this is kind of an uncommon title. It's not one, again, I have good eyes, man. I see something like, I have not seen that ever before out in the wild. I know immediately, that's probably an uncommon title. I look it up, and sure enough, not really easy to find this, not really easy to come across this, so went ahead and picked it up. I'll tell you the price at the end of this because they all cost the same price. So then, I'm probably going out of order here in terms of what I found first and last, but I decided to pick up Howard Hawks' Monkey Business with Marilyn Monroe and Cary Grant. Oh, and Charles Coburn and Ginger Rogers. Very cool. I've actually never seen this movie. Unforgivable, I know, but apparently this particular version, this particular DVD, is either out of print or it's just fetching fairly high prices on Amazon. It was like $15 or something like that at its lowest price. So I was just like, well, it is a movie that I haven't seen yet that I want to see, so there you go. Monkey Business, and it was a really good price, so I went ahead and decided to get it. Love some Cary Grant. Love to check out more Marilyn Monroe. If I said Marilyn Manson at some point, I'm sure I made somebody laugh. But anyway, Marilyn Monroe, I haven't seen enough of her stuff. I've seen some, but not enough. So clearly, it's time to rectify the fact that I have not seen Monkey Business. That is inexcusable, man. So, yeah, very cool. Next up, I found Outsourced. I don't know if anybody knows what this movie is, but I certainly do. This is a movie that I've only ever seen on Amazon and not Amazon, on Netflix. It's been on Netflix for years now, or at least they keep bringing it back onto Netflix for every now and then for years now. And it's actually a really cool movie about a guy whose company is outsourcing all of their work to India. Kind of one of those topics, it's a touchy subject, right? But he discovers after his company decides to outsource the company to India, he has to go to India and train all the new employees to basically do his job and the job of all the people who are working at the new telemarketing center. And that's his job. He works for a telemarketing company, and they're outsourcing to India, as you would expect. So he has to go to India and spend a few months there training people to, to do the job of telemarketing. But he's trying to teach this to Indians who have no idea what American life is like, or they don't have as much of an understanding of what American life is like as somebody who is a native-born American, obviously. So he has to kind of teach them what it's like to be an American, how you should speak to an American, because their customers are American. So, yeah, and he kind of also starts trying to teach them how to speak like an American at times. So, I don't know. It's funny. I guess there might be a little bit, you would think there would be a little bit of racism in there, right? But it's actually a story about how he eventually ends up falling in love with somebody in India. After all this, being upset that his job is being outsourced, and then he has to train somebody to do his job in another country, and he's going to lose his job after that. Like, after all that anger and stuff like that, it subsides because he falls in love with somebody while he's there. It's crazy how that kind of stuff happens, and it does happen a lot in real life, which makes this feel way more real, way more true to life. And that's why I freaking love this movie. Unfortunately, I don't think it's actually available on Blu-ray. So, or if it is, I haven't been able to find it. So when I saw the DVD here, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get that. And I looked it up online. Apparently, it's something that fetches fairly high prices too. And it's the special preview edition. Am I even supposed to have this? I don't know. I don't care. What I care about is that I love this movie. It has quickly become one of my favorite movies of the past 10 or 15 years. So, yeah, I'm very happy to have this in my collection finally. Very cool movie. Next up, these last two came factory sealed, and that would be the double feature MGM Midnight movies here of What's the Matter with Helen and Whoever Slew Auntie Rod. I've never heard of either of these movies, but they looked kind of interesting. And at the price that I got them for, I couldn't say no to that, man. Yes, it's a flipper disc, but they both sounded interesting. The first one, What's the Matter with Helen? A musical horror melodrama satire love story. This shocking cult classic is a cut above when the moms of two murderers escape their past by moving to Hollywood. One, played by Debbie Reynolds, starts living out her Tinseltown dreams, leaving the other, Oscar winner Shelley Winters, to stew about carving up the town in her own special way. And then Whoever Slew Auntie Rue, played by Shelley Winters, just loves children to death. After the mysterious disappearance of her daughter, Auntie Rue has been looking for a dead ringer replacement, and this time she found one from the local orphanage. But what is she to do with the girl's pesky brother when he discovers Rue's terrible secret in the attic? Yeah, these look like kind of cheesy B movies, but I love me some good cheesy B movies, and you typically can't go wrong with the MGM Midnight movie releases. I'm sure that either one or both of these have been put on Blu-ray or on a better release somewhere, but if you just want to check them out like I do and see what they're like before getting the better version, you know what I mean? then this is a good way to do that, especially considering it was factory sealed and the price I got it for was very, very good. Last but not least, I got a factory sealed copy here of Mr. Krueger's Christmas. I'm not sure how many of you are actually familiar with this movie. Well, it's not really a movie, it's a short starring Jimmy Stewart and the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Yes, this was actually produced by the Mormon Church, by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it's a Christmas story starring Jimmy Stewart. And if you're thinking, oh god, it's some religious thing, well, no, actually, for a movie that was produced by the Mormon Church, for a movie like that, it's not so heavy-handed with its religious overtones, you know what I mean? Yes, you do see that in there, but I know some atheists. I have some friends who are atheists who still think this is a great movie and a great way to celebrate the holidays, great movie to watch. Well, great little short to watch for the holidays. And I believe you can actually watch this for free on YouTube, but the DVD here is actually somewhat difficult to come by. It's a little bit more difficult to find. It actually goes for between like 10 and 15 bucks used from what I saw. So yeah, I got this for a very good price, shrink wrapped, factory sealed, very cool. So if you're wondering how much I paid for each of these titles, $2 each, $2 each. $2 for this, it's worth like 10. $2 for this, it's worth 10. $2 for this, 10. $2 for this, 10. And then this is the only one that's actually worth like $5 or something like that at best. So, yeah. $2, not a bad price considering it was factory sealed and all that. But these four right here I was very happy with. Impressed that I was able to find these. They're very cool finds. And hey, if you don't believe me, here is, hold on, let me get the receipt in just such a way that I'm not revealing too much information. 5 DVDs at $1.99 each. So yeah, $2. $2 each for these. Very, very cool finds. Very happy about that. So there you have it. There is my first video where I did a little spy cam footage for ya and found some pretty damn good finds here, if I do say so myself. I think that's a pretty damn good haul, and I paid less than $25 for all of it, so pretty good deal, honestly. You can find good deals out there if you do some searching. Anyways, that'll do it for me today. Thanks for watching, you guys. Catch you later. Peace.